We have got buffs to Hwei, Vel'Koz, and Jayce Nerfs lined up for Qiyana, Volibear, and Yunara, while Sunfire Cape is receiving a buff. So let's break everything down in today's video as we bring you guys a quick update on all the changes heading to live servers for 25.18, which is going to drop Wednesday, September 10th. And it is no secret that League's ranking system is designed to trap you. It pulls you in with every one of those games where everything clicks, you carry hard, and it all feels great, only to balance it out with those frustrating matches that feel unwinnable from the start. That cycle keeps you in the grind, hoping for change, but never really quite breaking through. And what most players don't realize about this is that escaping this cycle requires specific skills and specific strategies tailored to your exact rank. And that is where skill cap comes in. We are the only service in this industry that has invested millions of dollars into identifying what actually works at every single tier. Our challenger coaches, they've mapped out the best and the most useful strategies that turn hard-stuck players into consistent climbers. And you can access all of that expertise for less than $9 a month with our annual plan. And we're so confident in our method that our business model literally depends on your success. Climb at least 5 divisions while actively using skill cap, or you can claim a full refund, no questions asked. So stop wasting all that time on the rank treadmill, man. Start climbing today with proven strategies designed to specifically break through your current rank. Check us out by clicking the link in the top right corner or in the description below. And with that being said, let's get into it. So first up, let's have a look at the item changes, as Bami Cinder is going to have its bonus monster damage increase from 50 to 100%. So it's going to be a tank jungler buff here, as champs like Zac, Amumu, Rammus, and Sejuani can look to take advantage of this. And then it's not just Bami's that's going to be buffed, as Sunfire Aegis, which builds out of Bami's, is going to have its minion and monster damage increase from 50 to 60%. So a small buff to tank top laners as well, but the big buff is definitely to Bami's, which will help to increase the clear speed of those tank junglers. One of the more niche ADC items is getting buffed for 25.18, as Mercurial Scimitar will have its AD increased from 40 to 50, magic resist is dropping from 40 to 35, and active movement speed duration is up from 1.5 to 2 seconds. So a little more offensive power in exchange for less durability here. Definitely not changes that are going to make the item a core purchase or anything, but a small buff for ADC mains nonetheless. So for the champion changes now, Amumu is first in line on the buff list, with his Q cooldown dropping from 16 scaling to 12 seconds to 16 scaling to 10 seconds. Q mana cost is down as well, from 45 scaling to 65 to 50 flat. So this is actually going to be more of a buff to Amumu's support, because Q is the ability you max out first when playing support. Jungle isn't going to be affected very much at all, since Q is the spell max last on Jungle Amumu. Our challenger support Rhino was actually playing some Amumu support very recently, even prior to these buffs, and recorded a full game commentary for the champs. So if you're looking to pick up Amumu support for this patch, then that commentary is definitely going to set you up really nicely. We're definitely a little bit surprised here to see an Ashe buff for 25.18, as we don't think she's been weak by any means, but nevertheless, she is going to have her AD growth increased from 2.95 to 3.45. So watch out for Ashe to be one of the higher priority ADCs moving forward. Cassiopeia is going to be issued 2 buffs, as her base mana is going up from 400 to 450, and then E-Poison base damage is up from 20 scaling to 100 to 20 scaling to 112. If there's one champ who's going to benefit the most from a 50 base mana increase, it's definitely going to be Cassio. 50 mana can be the difference between you getting that extra E off to score an early kill, or the enemy just barely escaping with a sliver of health because you run out of mana. So even though the change may seem a little bit small on paper, it should end up being quite significant. We have one buff headed Garen's way, as his E-AD ratio per spin is being increased from 36 scaling to 48% to 38 scaling to 50%. Hwei is next up on the buff list, as his passive AP ratio is going up from 30 to 35%. WQ movement speed is being increased from 20 scaling to 30% to 30 scaling to 40%. WQ movement speed AP ratio is up as well, from 2% per 100 AP to 3% per 100 AP. And then EAP ratio is going up from 60 to 65%. Jayce is going to be receiving a pretty nice buff to his ranged Q damage, as it's going up from 60 scaling to 310 to 80 scaling to 310. So just a buff in the early game, as the damage stays the same at max rank. However, Jayce is a very early game reliant champion, so it is going to be a welcome buff for sure. Riot has 2 buffs in the works for Vel'Koz, as his E cooldown is going to be dropping from 14 scaling to 12 seconds to 12 scaling to 10 seconds. Our base damage is going up as well, from 450 scaling to 800 to 450 scaling to 925. So buffs that are going to help mid lane Vel'Koz out just a little bit more than support, because that R buff is going to be harder for Vel'Koz support to reach due to not having access to getting levels as quickly as mid lane. A couple of Annie nerfs are on the way, with her W base damage dropping from 70 scaling to 250 to 70 scaling to 230. Our passive magic pen is going down from 15 scaling to 20% to 10 scaling to 20%. Now, I don't know about about you guys, but I'm getting a little bit tired of seeing Annie being played in the pro scene lately, so if these nerfs drop a priority, I'm all for it. Aurora is going to be hit with a nerf for 25.18 as her passive max health damage is dropping from 2.5% to 1%. So pretty big nerf actually, which should drop Aurora priority moving forward. The yearly Azir Nerfs before Worlds hits are going to be issued for this patch, with his attack speed growth dropping from 5.5 to 5% and WAP ratios going down from 45 scaling to 65% to 40 scaling to 60%. Now, it really looks like Riot's going to be nerfing Faker and T1 headed into Worlds, with Galio's passive AP ratio going down from 45 to 40%, and then Q% health tick damage is dropping from 2.5 to 2%. Qiyana has exploded in power and popularity in the higher elos over the past few patches, so she's going to be nerfed in 25.18, with base AD going from 66 to 64, armor growth is dropping from 4.7 to 4.5, and passive damage is being reduced from 30 to 25%. Sylas jungle has become incredibly popular due to his recent buffs, so Riot of course has a nerf lined up as his passive monster damage is going down from 150 to 130%. The bear is finally being hit with a nerf as his passive attack speed AP ratio is going down from 4% per 100 AP to 3% per 100 AP. Now honestly, that nerf doesn't seem all that bad, especially since it's an AP ratio nerf and Cosmic Drive is the only AP item that Voli purchases. Yunara is going to be issued 4 different nerfs for 25.18 as her base health is going down from 600 to 575, base AD is dropping from 56 to 53, E movement speed takes a hit going from 50 scaling to 70% to 30 scaling to 50%, and then E movement speed duration is down from 1.5 scaling to 2.5 seconds to 1.5 seconds at all ranks. So, some pretty big nerfs here to Yunara, and we should see her lose a good chunk of power for this patch. So, Riot has these Briar changes under the adjustments category, so let's just see what we're working with here. Q damage is going down from 60 scaling to 180 to 60 scaling to 160. Q damage type is being changed from magic to physical. Our sound effect is now going to play 1 second after cast instead of on cast. R will no longer have a bonus AD ratio as the 50% bonus is being removed. Our range is going up from 10,000 units to 12,000 units. So you're losing damage in exchange for a slightly more reliable R, which in our eyes should land as a net nerf, but shouldn't be enough to force Briar down the tier list. And another round of Illaoi adjustments are headed to live servers, with her passive no longer spawning tentacles during teleport. W max health damage is being changed from 4% per 100 AD to 3.5% per 100 AD. E vessel duration is going up from 3 to 4 seconds, and like the Briar adjustments here, we're leaning towards these Illaoi adjustments being net nerfs, but we're less certain about that, so we're going to have to see how they land on live servers.
Okay guys, one last thing. Our rank up guarantee is absolutely insane. It's kind of like signing up for the gym and then just getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in Skillcapped. We obsess over making the best guides with the top players, the rigorous testing, and top tier video editing to make your climb as easy as possible. If you're ready to level up, just visit skillcapped.com and literally see the difference.
And that is going to wrap everything up for the patch 25.18 update on all the new changes that will be hitting live servers on Wednesday, September 10th. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you back soon.